Present.
Bill Powell,
Present.
Matty Coble,
Commissioner Coble should be here. I spoke with her earlier.
Ray Cruz,
Commissioner Cruz, as far as I know, will not be here.
Scott Morris.
Here.
Dave Richard.
Here.
The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of regular meeting of June 26th and the working section of June 24th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. It's been moved and second. Call the roll.
Henry Champion,
Yay.
Bill Powell,
Yes.
Scott Morris.
Yes.
Dave Richard,
Yes.
It's been, motion, minutes been approved, previous minute. The review of the financial reports and list of bills.
The Housing Authority for the month of June had a month-to-date profit of roughly $100,000, which is somewhat of a change from the previous month. We did come into a few cost savings, and we had a little bit more revenue than we did the previous month. So that's where our month-to-date profit came from. Year-to-date, we have a loss of $59,000, which is at this point entirely related to the fact that we're being underfunded for the Section 8 program, which is something that we've kind of endured for the past 7 months now. So that's to be expected. We actually, for the month of June, kind of shaved the loss that we had a little bit. I think last month the loss was roughly $114,000. That's due to a much smaller loss in the Section 8 program. It was only $10,000 for the month versus I think last month was somewhere in the area of $100 and some odd thousand. So we have seen some cost improvements and some savings where we've been able to cut costs and improve the financials a little bit. We will, going forward in the Section 8 program, and somewhat intentionally continue to have and experience a loss, partly because of some comments that came from HUD regarding us having to give back in reserves that we don't use by the end of the calendar or fiscal year. So as a result of that, we will probably continue to carry that loss until HUD gives us other information. I think their intention is to kind of decrease the amount of reserves that are floating around about in the industry. There are a lot of housing authorities that have, us included, have pretty large reserves in our Section 8 program. So HUD's grown a little tired of us hoarding the money, so to speak. So it is expected that the Section 8 program will continue to have that loss. The public housing program, on the other hand, has a $140,000 profit year to date. I think they had a $150,000 profit for the month. So that program, as expected, is continuing to operate in the same manner as it did in the previous fiscal year, where we had almost a $900,000 net profit at the end of last fiscal year. So we are expecting to continue to have those profits in the public housing program, and those profits are going to be used to expand our housing options that we've kind of planned in our strategic plan. So are there any questions on the financials? Are there any questions on the list of bills?
I have one.
Sorry.
That attorney ballot and spa, what are they functions that on?
Ballard Spar's original purpose, they are our attorneys for development. So as we go down the road of doing any tax credit development, we've gone to them for different items in relation to that, for writing agreements. Their original purpose was a lot more complex because we were planning on doing a very large on-site Jericho piece. So they were doing, writing up the regulatory agreements, writing up agreements between us and the developer, negotiating all those developments. As of lately, I think the only thing we really use them for is for document filings and pulling any information. Of course, as lawyers, they tend to charge us for that. So I think there's probably a bill up there for about $50. I think that's the charge for the most recent month. But it's mainly just when we have them to file documents or pull documents or information for us. We do use them sort of in a consulting role. So if we have questions, we can call them too. They're out of Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Thank you. While we're on the bills, I know you asked a question Monday about the listings. And for me, the breakdown of little costs when they go out and purchase something, I don't really need to see that. That's me personally. But as far as the vendors go, still list them.
Okay.
And if there's a question about the billing, then you could bring it.
No problem, sir. Are there any other questions or comments on the list of bill of financials?
Yeah, motion to approve these?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the financials.
Second.
Moving second. All call the roll.
Henry Champion.
Yay.
Bill Powell.
Yes.
Diane Coble.
Yes.
Scott Boris.
Yes.
Dave Richard.
Yes.
Motion passed. Monthly staff review.
The Housing Authority just completed our panel discussion, our public comment on the development or on what to do with the property at Jericho Circle. That was held on July 11th and 12th. The panel was attended by approximately 100 or so individuals. There were about 40 or so panel members that were considered stakeholders who the Housing Authority and the city invited individually, and roughly 50 to 60 members of the general community came out in the evening session and participated in that discussion. I think overall, we got a very good cross-section of the community. I think we got a lot of good feedback as far as different people's opinions and ideas. And the ULI, the panel put together a presentation the board received on Monday that will be given, it was given to us and will also be given to City Council at a later date. There'll be a full report that they will give out to us. Their role going forward will kind of circle around providing technical assistance to us. And it won't be at any additional cost. We've already paid for that, thankfully. But so they will continue to be involved in helping us to acquire approvals from HUD, prepare proposals and requests from HUD or from varying groups that we need to work with. We've also started the process of updating all of our policy documents. One of the items in the strategic plan for the remainder of this year was that we would update and try to automate as much as possible our lease, application, all the policy documents that kind of make the Housing Authority run. So we started the process now of really updating all those policies. It's been a while since they've been updated, so it's actually about time that we get those kind of moving again. In that process, we have our public comment right now our admissions and continuing occupancy policy, also known as the ACOP. We just changed the application, so once the ACOP has gone through a public comment process, the application will become valid at that point. We just, Maria and I actually just about 15 minutes ago finished up the lease, so that's another item that'll be changing as well in the future. And we'll start to review all of our policy documents. We expect this to go on to about December of this year, and we'll finish that process. The only other thing too, we've made some changes as far as technology. Our Section 8 landlords currently, if they have properties that they have listed as available for Section 8 residents, they come to the main office. We have a billboard in the main office waiting area that they post a little postcard that lists the information about the available property. Two of our employees came up with the idea of posting that on the website and maintaining it there. So through the creativity of some of our employees and working with our website manager, they have been able to create a form online that landlords can go use. They can go and put their information in and just submit it electronically, and a list of available sites will be maintained by the Housing Authority on our website. We will be doing some outreach to landlords, and Commissioner Richard has volunteered to help with that process to make sure that landlords are aware of the changes we're making and are aware of some of the ways that they can help us and we can help them as well.
Is that form online now available?
Yes. The form itself for landlords to fill out is already available. The actual available properties list probably won't be available until Monday.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
With the public housing program, we currently have a total of 254 on our waiting list. We still are not pulling one-bedroom studio applicants, as we're still dealing with some of the fire victims and looking to place them as soon as possible in vacant units. Once we have those taken care of, we're looking to purge our waiting list in the month of August, and pending on results of that, reopening the waiting list in September. We have the Rush program, still going pretty strong, doing community service on site at Maple Terrace and Eastwood now. They're also doing gardening items over at Maple Terrace. A lot of the gardening, I didn't list there's clubs, gardening clubs and all of that. I didn't list them on here, but they are on our website. that gave donations of plants, flowers, and all that the residents are utilizing. With Maple Terrace Fire, we currently do still have 6 tenants at the motel. We do expect 3 vacancies to become available here at Centennial House at the end of the month. So those units, as they become vacant, they will take priority with the maintenance department to turn those around, and fire victims will be placed into those units. We do have a new property manager who will be handling Indian Trail, Eastwood, and Southwind. Her name is Ms. Tequila Brown. She just couldn't make it. I thought she was, but she didn't, so hopefully soon you'll be able to meet her. As far as site activities, there's a barbecue that was held at Maple Terrace through the resident council. Eastwood, the alderwoman there hosted a cleanup day here in the month of July. They're still serving breakfast and lunch program for the children ages 2 to 17. And Southwind had a cleanup day. They do have one. I just found out another one scheduled at the beginning of August. And family sites have their elementary school children attending the PBS through Maine Baptist Church, and those are being held at Maine Baptist, Eastwood, and Southwind. And those children that are attending to receive a meal either through the township or directly through Maine Baptist.
Township.
I believe the ones at Eastwood are receiving a Maine Baptist cooked meal.
Trust me, township.
Okay.
Been there 2 nights
Thank you
in
for
a
the
row.
update.
But if there's
Just on
extra
Eastwood,
food from Maine Baptist.
I peeped in your old office last night, and they're renovating it. It looks pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a,
We have been, as part of our overall kind of image improvement, going into our family site offices. Maple Terrace office just recently had an upgrade, as did the office here probably a year ago. They're already kind of nicer offices. So we went to our family sites. We've been doing some of the upgrades. Some of the upgrades we took what we learned from our Brighton Circle home. We kind of rolled that out into all of our upgrades. So as part of our image upgrade, the offices will have new paint colors, nicer flooring. We did get a couple TVs, so we're putting those in the offices to show information. So there'll be kind of electronic bulletin boards, and we can update much easier. It's just a little cleaner to have in the offices.
Said there was 6 families still at the hotel. Three would get spots here,
Yes.
and then the other.
We're expecting 3 vacancies, so as soon as those units are turned around, we can move 3 people from the motel to these units.
Are these families have school-age kids? I mean, we're gonna start to run into where the school's gonna start, and these families are gonna still be in.
Not that I'm aware of.
Any of the ones that are in
It's a
the-
single person or a couple.
These
So
were
in term-
normally, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say so those are all coming, so there's no kids involved in terms of.
Yeah, these were all
Maple
one-bedroom
Terrace,
units or
one
studios. So
Mhm.
if there are children, there were smaller children. Well, these weren't larger family units.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
you know, report for Jim?
Yes, I apologize. Jim, who has a good fortune of being on vacation today, so he'll be back tomorrow, conveniently enough. The maintenance department is finishing up a lot of the summer work that we typically do in order to prepare before we get into the preparation of our winterization process. So right now we're doing a lot of the outdoor landscaping type of activities, making sure that all the buildings are properly sealed so that we're not dealing with leakage in the roofing or areas closer to the ground. So they're doing a lot of those kinds of activities right at this point in time to upkeep to prepare before we get into the winterization mode, which is a completely different set of processes. The community service program, as I understand it, has been doing a lot of site improvements over at Maple Terrace, where they've been doing painting around the elevator. I think I was there yesterday, and they showed off all the landscaping they've been doing. There's a lot of flower painting, potting around some of the trees in different areas on the exterior. There's actually a vegetable garden on the in the gazebo that they have. They showed me they have a little pepper growing. So I told them I want a salad next time I go down there. So they are really getting involved, and it's good to see that the residents are getting involved. Inside the building, they've been doing some cleaning up of the hallways. They did painting around the elevators and the garbage chutes, which are areas which typically, just because of how often they get used, they kind of get a little dirtier. So we've done some painting there. Hopefully the paint that we serve will be easier to clean than we have previously. But they've been really active in trying to improve the building. It's good to see the residents get involved in their own property. Actually, the program has been so successful there that we are considering implementing that at Eastwood. They had a strong interest there for a similar program, so we're in the works now, working with their resident council to roll out that program at Eastwood as well. We are making, like we said before, the upgrades to the property offices, where we've done some new paint colors, new technology. A lot of the offices run on fax machines still, which is something that I just completely have a distaste for. So we're getting rid of the fax machines, getting scanners, and then moving to just a little bit more electronic technology. And also we're doing, the Jericho office move has still been working. We have completely at this point gutted the building. There's pretty much a shell. We have our architect who's going in tomorrow actually to do some layout work, and the board will be pleased to note the boardroom will be about 600 square feet, so we'll be adding a little bit of room in here and trying to just upgrade and utilize the space that we have. I think there are definitely some uses for that space that will free up room here that we can then create some community spaces. I know the residents here have stopped me on a couple occasions and asked how we were going to use this space, and they were all very excited to know that we were considering putting community spaces and trying to get service providers in this building. So we've spoken with the VNA about having them occupy some space. I know Brenshaw, as we talked about the scatter site there, one of the problems that they're concerned about is how to manage and where to manage from. We think that they'll be able to rent a little bit of space out of here as well. So we're finding and starting to line up some people to kind of occupy this, so this won't be a dead space here once we move out. Are there any other questions?
One question.
Yes, sir.
I had a couple of questions today. The REAC inspection,
Yes.
if I'm pronouncing it right, was that successful, or you got a score? Or?
The scores haven't come out yet.
Okay.
I believe I'll have them in next month though. Maple Terrace gave it did receive a interim pass score. For whatever reason, it's taken them a little longer to get the remaining scores to us. There were a few concerns. There were some issues as far as some 24-hour health and safety things we needed to address. As far as I understand, we addressed those, and they gave us a passing score after they came out and re-inspected those. Now, to be honest, completely kind of honest, a passing score doesn't necessarily mean a good score. Passing score, I believe, is like 60% of the points, which by far does not mean good. What we would consider a good score would be something in the 90-point range. It's out of 100 points. Do I believe that we'll get something in the 90-point range? Probably not, for a couple reasons. One, the timing of the scoring doesn't allow us at this time. I wasn't aware of what we needed to do to improve our scoring. So that's one thing where we're going to learn a little bit from this experience as to what they took points off for. I think secondarily, the age of the buildings makes it very difficult. A 90-point score is just a difficult score to get. I've seen mixed finance properties that are 2 years old get 87s. So it's just, you want a 90, you want to shoot for a 90, it's going to take us a little bit of time before we get into the higher level numbers. So I would expect a 70, 75 score.
Thank you. Any questions for Executive Director? Okay, new business, resolution 1312, approval of vehicle leasing contract.
As seems like everything is part of the strategic plan. The vehicles, as we talked about, are a little older at this point. I think most of our vehicles are between 7 and 10 years old. The 2 newer vehicles are not included in this. We're going to keep those for a little bit longer before we consider getting rid of them. But essentially, we chose Enterprise Fleet Services, or Fleet Management as our vendor of choice. The proposal is roughly $47,000 a year. Will be well under the budgeted amount, which we budgeted $100,000 for per year for the first 3 years, and then $67,000 a year for the final 2 years. So any way we cut this, we're saving almost $200,000 from our budgeted amount for new vehicles over 5 years.
So these current vehicles are going to be traded in?
We're going to use, yes, the current vehicles are going to be traded, and Enterprise is actually going to take possession of those vehicles and use the value of those vehicles to get us to the price that's in their quote. If there are no other questions, we need that motion.
I think we kind of beat that to death Monday.
I make a motion, resolution 1312, be approved.
Second.
Roll call.
Henry Chapin.
Yay.
Bill Powell.
Yes.
Maddie Cole,
Yes.
Scott Boris.
Yes.
Dave Richard,
Yes.
Redevelopment,
We have no news.
you have any public comments? No? No reason to go, no pending and impending legal business?
None, sir.
You wanna sign this and pass on?
Sleep.
Still thinking about it?
I was thinking that can't possibly be that, we might almost be done. That's actually what I was thinking.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Henry, that was a record.
Hey,
Good work.
should've seen me at work.
You gotta take it with you now.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.